What's going on, everybody? Welcome to my YouTube channel. What's going on? Did I say that already? Did I already say hello? Because I'm doing it twice, I feel. So this video is something new, I think. Just like a check-in, like an energetic check-in. Because, I got to talk about some stuff to somebody. Somebody will listen, maybe. And just to like kind of feel what is going on within this I don't know, spiritual collective, whatever it is that you people call it. So I can't, of course, say that this is how everybody's feeling. Uh, I don't have that ability, right? Um, I'm not going to channel some angel or whatever and tell you guys how you should be feeling or what's next or anything like that. But I can share with you guys what's actually going on with me, what's happening in my life that I think might shed some amount of light onto what's happening to a lot of other people who are spiritually inclined or have this extra awareness, going through a spiritual awakening, people that find themselves in these perspectives, these worlds, these places, that find themselves dealing with life in a spiritual kind of way, right? It's always a tricky thing to talk about this stuff. For those who understand it, they understand it, right? But I always try to have this YouTube channel as a way of presenting a sort of grounded approach to things. But in truth, you you don't really know how to be grounded sometimes. There's a lot of stuff that comes up that forces us open, forces us to break open, right? And to reveal a lot of emotions and things that we've been suppressing and pushing down. So November has, at least in my life, and we'll see if you guys resonate, it's gotten to a point energetically or spiritually where it feels like things are really finally dying, right? And maybe there's something to be said for the season. Okay, now if you live in Hawaii, then the season of autumn probably doesn't mean much to you. But if you live in any kind of temperate climate like I do, I live in Toronto. For you Americans who don't know where anything is, that's in Canada. And so obviously there's a fall, right? It's very pretty and very nice, and fall is one of my favorite seasons, if not my favorite season. But it does have this metaphorical tagline, this idea that things decay, things fall away, right, in the autumn. And it's true. I feel that in my own life, right? Things that I've held on to are reaching a culmination point, right? And it's not just the idea, whereas before it was, maybe this isn't working, or maybe this isn't good or that isn't good. But it's really gotten to a point where, for me anyway, and maybe for you, that there is this real concern, and that there is a real life situation happening, that there is a finality to the things that are happening, right? It feels like that in my life, where while everything may be unknown, there's a lot of this kind of energy coming up for, I think, myself, I think for other people, where there's just this kind of this finality to the resistance of the things that we don't want to change, but we finally have to, right? So maybe some examples might help you guys. For instance, I have been a tour guide and running a tour company for a better part of 2.5, 3 years, right? And it's been the best job I've ever had. Wonderful. I meet amazing people from around the world, most of them anyway. You have these great experiences. You do all these kinds of tours where you get paid to drink alcohol or eat food or whatever, and it's been great. It's been amazing, but it's seasonal work, and it's hard to be on all the time. And believe it or not, which might be hard to imagine, but I'm not actually a fan of people, which is hilarious because I'm a tour guide. I've met thousands and thousands of people, and if it was up to me, if I could just stay at home and get paid to smoke weed, that would be a great job. Maybe not a healthy one, but a financially rewarding one. But I don't, and I can't, and it doesn't exist, I don't think, anyway. So the tourism has been a wonderful thing, and I want to move out of it, but there's been lots of difficulties with it, with my own company and the people that I work with or work for, and I'm just tired. I'm exhausted physically, having to worry about money or something in the fall and winter, right? That's always a difficult thing. And so you get to this point where you finally realize, like, you know what? Like, I'm not even willing to wait until next year to do this again. I want to do something new, maybe something similar, but something new, something that, again, gives me the same amount of joy that it did back, a couple years ago. And it's easier said than done, right? I mean, who do I think I am that I want to find a good job that makes me happy, right? I should just go get a job as a waiter or some bullshit. But I'm not going to, because I'm stubborn and I know what I'm worth and I know what I'm into and I know what I've done and I have real skills and a resume that deserves a job that I think fits with what I can do. Right? There's things that I can do. And so this becomes a time, I feel like, energetically, where people are actually forced to come to terms with who they are and what they want, more importantly. And those two things are usually hand in hand, right? We always think that we have to do a lot of stuff to get what we want, but that's not necessarily the case. Case in point, using the word case too quickly there, but case in point, I was just talking to a colleague or friend the other day who's talking about his son, who's, I guess, maybe about my age, a little older possibly, and how he can't find a job. He's applied for 100 jobs, 94 of them were nothing he wanted to do, and no matter how much energy he's put into applying for things, it doesn't work, right? Can't get a job, can't get an interview even. And this the reality situation, this sort of like cycle of just over and over and over and over again, doing things that don't work because we think they will, because you're taking logical actions, right? And logical actions are great because they're logical. It's step by step, right? Everything leads into something else. And that's the way that it should be, right? That's the way that our mind wants things to be, the schedules that we make. But it doesn't work like that. And it often doesn't work with people that are going through spiritual awakenings or, have these inclinations and metaphysical, emotional people, sensitive people. It doesn't work for us. It doesn't work for me. What works for me is, which has always happened in the past, is self realizations, getting to a point, getting to a point, getting to a point, and then maybe there's this attitude like that I will have where it's kind of like, fuck it, I don't even give a shit, I'm tired of this bullshit, and you kind of get a little bit of anger, a little bit of letting go, a little bit of surrender, a little bit of reflection, and then something usually in my life will come up, right? And I feel myself getting towards that wall, and I see a lot of other people getting towards that wall in their life, other situations, right? Because that's career in love. I just met with somebody who I was with for 6 years or so, a little bit less, very strong, serious relationship. But we just met back again after about a year, almost a year, like a closure or closing things out. That was another example, right? And I found myself in love, in this terms of love, really thinking, well, after this hedonistic year of just, sexual escapism or these women in my life, these emotional affairs, these flings, whatever it might be, it's really gotten to a culmination point where I can't handle anymore, where it's too much. It's too much for me to deal with. And there's a woman in my life currently who is not my partner or anything, just my friend, really. But that's a whole thing, and that's a complicated situation that I'm not going to get into. But the reality of that situation, because it's complicated, is it forces me to actually sit with my emotions, sit with my feelings, and really take stock of myself, and to ask, well, do I want to be alone? Do I want to spend a year or two just completely alone? And if a woman throws himself at me, then that will be the most obvious thing I could say yes or no to. But to actually take a step back and not pursue anybody, to not take that time for those extra conversations, those extra flirtations, to remain with this polite distance that I have a great ability to actually do, believe it or not, despite the sickness in my brain. But I'm very good at distancing myself, for better or for worse, right? And so I find myself in both career, money, and love, taking stock, feeling things dying, feeling like I no longer want distractions, I no longer want flings, even, right? I don't want some short-term bullshit job, I don't want some short-term bullshit relationship. And if that means that I have to do some soul searching or reflect or be with my emotions, sit with my emotions, then that's probably what I'm gonna have to do, right? And that's what I'm noticing this, right? And spiritually, it feels like a shedding of your skin, like a snake, I was going for a walk the other day, and then a snake crossed my path. And then even later on, I saw another snake. It wasn't a real snake, but I saw another, like a toy snake, randomly on the street. And I was thinking, wow, 2 snakes in one day, that's pretty good. 3 snake, if I saw 3, I'd get a free Subway sandwich, probably. But I was, of course, looking at the meaning a little bit, and snakes, I like snakes. Some people don't, but I do like snakes. I was fascinated with them as a kid. And I think they're cool, you know. They're slithery reptile things that look like dragons. That's awesome. The snake, the idea of a snake, it's about shedding skins, it's about recycling, rebirth, right? Being born anew. And that's what I feel like a lot of people are going through here. But it's not just this lame energy, oh, because it's the autumn, things fall apart. That's not true, right? Because half the world doesn't really experience autumn in the same way. I don't know if it's half the world, but you know what I mean. And there's just like a finality to it. Like I said, there are these elements in my life that are completely breaking down and falling apart, and I'm watching it. And yet for the first time, and this is kind of what I'm noticing the more than anything, for the first time, I don't really care. I kind of feel like, yeah, fuck it, let it fall apart. If I'm supposed to be alone, then I'll be alone. If this job doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't know what I'm supposed to apply for. I don't know what opportunity is next. I have things that I can do. There's certainly ideas, maybe some opportunities, you know. But generally speaking, I don't really know what's next. There's a complete unknown circling above me. And spiritually, I'm up against this wall where I feel like, okay, well, it's really now or never. And how much of this wall against my back am I going to put up with? Right? And what it really comes down to, and what I feel is happening, is you're kind of up against the wall. Let's imagine these two fat fingers are human, and there's a wall behind them, right? And what's funny is that this is the wall and our back's against it. And yet if we had some perspective, the wall's not actually long at all, you could just kind of go like this and then, you know, kind of go past it, right? That's what it feels like. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but it feels like that we're up against the wall, absolutely, but the wall isn't that big. It's just, hey, if we were to move left or right, there wouldn't be a wall anymore, right? And I feel like, in another way of saying this is, oftentimes, especially now for a lot of people, it feels like what's happening is we are the reason that things are not working out. In another way, maybe even more simpler putting it, I got to get out of my own way, right? The overthinking, the living in the mind, the concern with the scheduling, with the planning, with the schemes, all that kind of stuff. What should I do? What should I do? It doesn't actually get anywhere. And it really just creates a loop, and it creates anxiety, and it's self-fulfilling, and it just at least puts me into a pocket of sadness and depression where you're kind of like Sisyphus, where you're rolling up this boulder up the hill only for it to fall back down at the very last second. And you got to do it all over and over again. But wouldn't it be amazing if Sisyphus just said one day, fuck this shit, and he just got off the mountain and did his own thing? Now, in Greek mythology, Zeus probably would have killed him and raped his wife, but don't worry about it. It's a metaphor. So I don't have a wife, and probably nobody's going to kill me. So I think for me and for many people that don't live in Greek mythology, we can just remove ourselves from the situation that is causing us all this exertion of energy and this pain. Yeah, again, easier said than done, absolutely. But the culmination of this energy is getting to a point where it's forcing a lot of people to change. And that is what's happening. There's a severe wave of energy coming in here that's causing changes. Personal changes, habits, things that we don't want to do, the way we look at the world, the relationships that we have, friendships, connections, jobs, all that kind of stuff. Things are actually, it feels like, legitimately changing. And I see it happening in a lot of people of different levels of spirituality, different levels of awareness, let's say. And it's scary. It's scary for a lot of people. And this is not a video that's supposed to be like, hey, don't be scared. This is not one of those videos. Be scared. Be a little scared. Maybe not too scared, but a tiny bit of scared. That's all right. No, this is a video about, hey, like, this is a check-in. Like, shit, you might be going through this. If you are going through this kind of stuff, you know, leave a comment or let me know, because I'd be interested to know how much of what I'm saying here resonates with people, and how much this stuff is actually happening in other people's lives, right? It's always a good thing to know, I think.